Shalom, people. Um, my name is Stephen Kimani, and I've been residing here in Israel for the last 2 years or so, slightly like 2 years. And this is Brothers Connect, and this is where we shape godly men. And I'd like to thank God for this initiative. I'm here on behalf of NDYM, Nairobi Diocese Youth Ministry. And this ministry is led by Pastor George Jenga, which I'd like to send a shout out to him. And I want to thank him for giving me this opportunity to share with you today. And also I want to thank God for the entire NDYM fraternity. And I would like to share a few things as pertaining to brotherhood. First of all, I'd like us to read through the book of 1 Kings, chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. And 1 Kings chapter 2, beginning to read from verse 1, which is actually the theme of this initiative. So when David's time to die drew near, he commanded Solomon his son, saying, I am about to go the way of all the earth. Be strong and show yourself a man. Verse 3, and keep the charge of the Lord your God, walking in his ways, keeping his statutes, his commandments, his rules, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all you do and wherever you turn. So we finished to read that verse 3. And I'd like to share a few things as pertaining to brothers. First of all, from the onset, this is Solomon. This is David, that is giving a charge to his son Solomon, who was to take over from him as king of Israel. So first of all, I want to call out to all the men to first of all realize that we have a purpose. From the days of Adam and Eve, God gave man a purpose, and if we look at Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, we saw that God is telling man to dominate, to subdue the earth, to fill the earth. So we have to realize that we have been given a purpose. Every male child, every person has been given a purpose. And we can also see that in the book of Joshua, when Moses had died, in the book of Joshua chapter 1, God is telling Joshua to be strong, to be courageous, because he has a purpose. He has a purpose to lead the Israelites to the promised land. So after we realize that we have a purpose, the next thing that we have to do is we must connect with God, because this purpose has a source. And we must be able to connect with the source. Everything, every appliance, every item that is created here on earth or that is made by man has a purpose, and it always comes with a manual. A phone comes with a manual. A television comes with a manual. Every electronic device comes with a manual. Even non-electronic devices also come with manuals. So we must realize that we are first of all from God, and that we have a manual, which is the word of God, and we must be able to connect with God in order to fulfill this purpose. The next thing that we must realize, or I will also call out a brother to do this, to realize that God has standards, God has rules of engagement. So from what we just read in 1 Kings chapter 2, we see that verse 3 says, David is telling Solomon to keep the charge of the Lord and walk in his ways and keep his statutes and commandments. So we must realize that God has rules and God has ways in which he does things, and he must be able to connect with him in order to fulfill the purpose that he has given man. Every football, every game, football, be it tennis, be it swimming, each game has rules, set rules, and in order to win, the player must be able to connect, or must be able to engage in these kinds of rules. So we must realize that God also has rules, and they are rules of the kingdom, and we must be able to connect with God in order to fulfill the God-given purpose. And then number 4, we must realize that our strength comes from the Lord. The book of the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 10 says, "That is why for Christ's sake I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties, for when I am weak, then I am strong." Brothers, we must realize that our strength comes from the Lord. And Paul says that when he is weak, he is actually strong. Now, I want us to consider it in this way. Weakness, or the things that make us weak, could be either internal or could be external. But our strength is something that is inbuilt. It comes from within. So we must be able to connect with God in order to have that kind of strength. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And this springs from a place of connecting with God and from realizing that we have a God-given purpose. And then finally, brothers, we must realize that we have a promise. Now, where there is a purpose, there is a promise. Where there is a purpose, there is a promise. Where God has given man an assignment, God has also given men a promise. In the book of Joshua again, chapter 1, we see that God is telling Joshua that wherever he will go, whatever place he will step in, God will be with him. So we must realize that we have also a promise. Now, God honors his word even above his name. Can you just imagine that God has placed his word above his name, you know? And this means that he really honors his word. Whatever promise he has given to you, he's able to see it through. He's able to bring it to fruition. And then I also realize that God has said in his word that the word that he has given out will not come back to him void. So we must realize that we have a promise. So where there is an assignment, where there is a purpose, God has given man a promise. So finally, I'd like to read to you Psalms 27 verse 1, which says this: "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is a stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" So I'm calling out to all brothers out there to realize that we have an assignment, to realize that we have a purpose, to realize that we have a place in this world, and to arise and to step out. Step out. I'm calling you to step out and to realize that you have a God-given assignment. And God bless you so much. Shalom.